Baseball is back, and there really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes an obvious choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With their MVP pricing guarantee, teammates reward program, and streamlined customer experience, their award-winning sales and service departments are there for all of your vehicle needs. A home team advantage is nothing without family and community. Their employees are part of the family, they're part of your town, and we're all part of the team. Visit teamtoyota.net and choose one of their 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the Phillies Talk Podcast presented by Team Toyota. I'm Corey Seidman, he's Ben Davis. Our producer is Spencer McKercher, and the Phillies are the hottest team in baseball. They have the best record in baseball, Ben, and they continue to create some distance between themselves and the Braves. I know that we're only here in the first week of May, and there's 75% of the way to go here. But to have a 3-game lead, the Phillies have their biggest NL East lead since May of 2019, and it doesn't look like they're going to be letting up anytime soon here with the Blue Jays arriving in town today.
Yeah, they're good at playing baseball, Corey. They're doing everything right. But let's start with the starting pitching. The starting pitching has been phenomenal the entire season. I thought it would be good. I didn't know it would be this good. These guys, they're we talked about it on the last podcast. They're like a throwback. They're going deep into ball games. They're getting quick outs. They don't have to strike everybody out. They're staying off barrels. They're trusting their movement. They're trusting their location. It's very refreshing to see this rotation really feed off each other, but go deeper into ball games where the fact that, you know, the bullpen, they're not eating up a bunch of innings. The starting 5, they're not 5 and dive. They're going deep into ball games. The offense has been ridiculous. Everyone's doing their part. They're hitting the home runs. They're great with runners in scoring position. Alec Boehm's on a different planet. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, when you said that about the starting pitching, thinking it would be good, but not this good, that's how I feel about the entire team. Like I remember saying over the offseason and in spring training that I thought that this team would be similar to the 2011 group in the sense that it would be the best regular season version of this era of Phillies baseball, but this looks like an 105-win team. I mean, I know that this is probably the softer portion of their schedule, but that's also like, in my opinion, a bit of a misconception. You know, there's that narrative going around that the Phillies have, played well because they haven't faced a team with a winning record since the 3rd day of the season. But like the reality is that most of baseball isn't that good. Most of baseball is similar to the Giants team that the Phillies just swept in 4 games, like average clubs that are looking at, 75 to 85 wins. And the Phillies are just far superior to teams like that on paper. And we're seeing it play out on a nightly basis. And now they have their best player going in Bryce Harper. 2 consecutive games with 3-run homers. He's up to 17 RBI his last 17 games, hitting .298 over that span. Have you seen him kind of like getting into the zone here over the last week, Ben?
I have. And we knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when Bryce Harper was going to break out. He's staying within the strike zone. He's uber confident in the box, thinking that he can hit everything. There's one difference between being able to hit everything and thinking you can hit everything. But he's at that point now where he's getting his pitches and not missing them. He's still uber aggressive. He's going after a lot of pitches early in counts, but they're his pitches. He's not going outside the strike zone, and that's very refreshing to see. But it was just a matter of him. When is Bryce Harper going to go off? When is he going to be the 2-time MVP? When is he going to break out? It was just a matter of time. But he's doing it right now, and I know the strength of schedule is something that's real. It's been it's very fortunate for the Phillies in the first part of the season, but they're doing what they need to do. They need to, on paper, take advantage of these teams, and that's what they're doing right now. I know a lot of the Braves have to play all these other teams as well, but the bottom line is the Phillies are taking care of the business on the road, at home. A 10-game home game winning streak right now at home. But they're taking care of what they need to take care of. Unfortunately, Trey Turner's on the IL right now. He's going to be out for some weeks. But I think they have enough firepower in that lineup where they can sustain it throughout. And you're getting back to Bryce, but it starts with him, and it's going to always end with him.
Yeah, and I mean, even losing Trey Turner, they've responded by winning 3 games in a row here. Bryson Stott starts his first game at shortstop on Monday night. First inning, gets a ball toward the middle of the diamond, makes a diving play to start a 6-4-3 double play. It wasn't a perfect night defensively for Stott at shortstop, but just another signal of the Phillies' depth that, they lose their all-star shortstop, but they have a young second baseman they can shift over. They have Whit Merrifield to play at second base. So, I mean, again, this goes back to like roster construction and the Phillies just having more talent than most teams. Another guy who's kind of gotten it going lately, and you're careful to say, okay, he's clicking because it really hasn't all clicked yet, is Nick Castellanos. Reached base 4 times in Monday's win, keyed a couple of rallies. And the reason I say you want to be careful about it is because last week in Anaheim, he goes 3 for 4, hits the game-tying homer in the 9th inning, and then the next day goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. So, I mean, it's up and down. But what I will say is that Nick Castellanos has had more good games over these last 2 weeks than he was having in April. And again, it just shows like when one more guy's going, what it can do. I looked it up last night. I think the Phillies are 9-2 this season when he drives in a run. So, I mean, it just shows that like the guys who haven't been consistently producing, once they do, this 25-11 team, it might get even better.
Yeah, I think it's a ball club that can, obviously feed off each other offensively. Nick is very streaky, to say the least, but he has been better in the chase rate has gone down a little bit. He's an uber aggressive guy as well offensively. He likes to swing the bat. That's the bottom line. But he is a guy that I think that they can, if they can get him going, that lineup's going to be that much better. But, he is – it does make you scratch your head at times. Like, how can you swing at a ball 5 feet down and away off the plate, and then, he lays off it the next day and stays within the strike zone and has a very competitive day offensively. It does make you scratch your head, but, that's the way he is. He can't change the spots on a leopard. You just hope that he can contain himself within the strike zone and be that guy that they signed to a 5-year, $100 million deal.
Yeah, and so in Monday's game, you had Harper with the 3-run homer. You had Castellanos, another big money guy, reaching base 4 times. You had Schwarber homering off the foul pole. And you also had another dominant start from Zack Wheeler. This is just what we're coming to expect now every 5th day. I turned to Todd Zalecki in the press box on Monday night, and I just said, like, this is Roy Halladay level that he's reached, where every 5th day you're not just expecting like a quality start. You're expecting 7 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, no runs. And I mean, it's interesting the way that things kind of like evolve, because when Wheeler got here, he was seen as like a number 2, number 3. Then he was seen as, okay, this guy might be an ace. Then it was, okay, this guy is an ace. Now it's this guy's the best pitcher in baseball. And I don't know how many people are even arguing that anymore.
Yeah, he's I don't know where he'll go down, Corey, as one of the best signings in Phillies history, but he's got to be close to the top, because what he gives your ball club every 5th day is literally a chance to win a ball game. And that's one thing that the Phillies, they need to do, is win every time that Zack Wheeler goes out on the mound, because he's going to give you the best opportunity to win a ball game. He doesn't have the 97, 98. I think it's still in there, going to be in there at times. But this guy can flat out pitch. He can pitch. He can use all his pitches. The new split finger that he found in the offseason has been ridiculous. He's throwing it to righties now, not just to lefties. His fastball, I know it's 94, 95, but it still has life on it. It's got carry through the strike zone with the 4-seamer. He's got the run with the 2-seamer. His curveball is really good. And I think if hits it, he could throw even more. This guy, he does it all. And I've said it 100 times. I would have loved to catch this guy. Absolutely love to catch him, because he's going to make you look good, because no matter what sign you put down, he's going to go throw a competitive pitch, and he's going to do damage with that pitch. He has conviction in every pitch that he throws. And that's what makes it so fun to watch, because you do expect him to go out there and throw 7, 8, possibly 9 innings in 110 pitches and get the job done. I think yesterday was the 5th game in a row he threw over 100 pitches. That's not saying too much about Zack Wheeler, because, you expect it out of him. But the wear and tear doesn't seem to affect him. He loves going out every 5th day, not every 6th day, because he doesn't like that extra day rest. But, I think the numbers show that when he gets an extra day rest, he's not as effective. So they're going to keep him on that schedule and let him ride.
Well, you know who never needs extra rest is our producer, Spencer McKercher. That's a man who's just ready to go, the drop of a dime. What's going on, Spence? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you guys, man? We were just talking before the game here. My allergies are toast, Ben. I know you and I have been talking about it in the office a lot lately. It's been a rough ride here lately.
Rough ride.
But I tell you what, talk about smooth transitions here. I tell you what's not been a rough ride is watching Zach pitch, man. I've really, after the start in Anaheim, I know, he kind of didn't really come across as saying he didn't really like the extra rest. But you could tell that it was definitely kind of like bugging him in terms of getting ready for a start. But then he comes back on Monday and just dominates 11 strikeouts through 7. I'm leading the league in strikeouts right now at 63. Ben, you talked about just catching Zach like that. What would make him, I know you were talking about the conviction with the fastball and everything, but what would make him so enjoyable to catch? And two, we were having the discussion yesterday, and Corey, you can jump in after this. We were literally having a discussion yesterday in the office of, is he the best free agent signing? Obviously, we still have some years to play out, but is he the best free agent signing in Phillies history?
Well, I'm going to say that Bryce Harper will ultimately be the best free agent signing, but Zack Wheeler's got to be, 1A or 1B in that conversation. Yeah, he is that good. What would make him so fun to catch is all his pitches are really, really good. It's not like you catch some guys that have maybe a good fastball, but their off-speed stuff isn't that good. Zach can do everything. He can make a ball go east and west, north and south. And that is something that you just don't see every day. But he is as advertised. And to top it off, which makes it even better, he's a great dude. Like, he's such a great guy to talk to. But he flat out gets it. He's just that he loves being here. He loves going out there and competing. When he said he didn't like that extra day's rest, these pitchers are very routine oriented. So they know exactly what they're doing on a specific day. So if he pitches, say he pitches on Monday, maybe the next day's an off day. Maybe he lifts legs the next day. Maybe he lifts upper body the next day. Maybe he does cardio on a certain day. Then he throws his bullpen on a certain day. But if you have that extra day, you don't know what to do with your time. So that's what makes that, it throws them off a little bit. So they know their bodies. They know how to prepare themselves for the next start. So I understand where he's coming from in the fact that, you know what, I don't need that extra day. Let me stay on my routine and get the job done.
Celebrity cook Steve Martirano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martirano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations for Martirano's Prime on OpenTable. Yeah, and so Wheeler pointed out, too, that it's different when there's a scheduled off day in the middle of waiting. It's different when there's a scheduled off day versus being given an extra day of rest because you're going to a 6-man rotation. And his comment was like, it's the days where you get here and you have to come to the ballpark. Like, and it just made me think like it would be the equivalent of you going into the office and not having to work. Like, just going into the office and just sitting there all day. Like, yeah, that would throw you off. It would take you off your rhythm. So Wheeler's old school in every way. I agree with Ben. He's a good dude. He's fun to talk to. He's always honest. I mean, talking to him after that game in Anaheim, you figured that he was going to have something to say about the rest situation, and he sure did. I mean, he's reiterated now several times that he doesn't like to do that. But JT Real Muto on Monday night, talking to him just about the evolution of Wheeler, watching him turn into this complete pitcher who has all these weapons at his arsenal. Your question, Spencer, is he the best free agent signing in Phillies history? I would say that in terms of value, I think he's the best free agent signing in the history of Philadelphia sports. I wrote that in October of 2022. Okay. And think about all he's done since then, right? All he's done since then is be even better than he was preceding that. Just when you look at the value of it, he signed, even when you include the extension that he signed, it's still like the same money as Garrett Cole, who signed the same offseason as him. It's taken the Phillies to another level here. And it's something that could be said, about the entire rotation. And when you're playing as well as they are, when you're 25-11 as they are to open this Blue Jays series, people then, gravitate toward like other topics looking for drama. And that's why this Spencer Turnbull rotation story has been, such a big deal, because Phillies fans are looking for things. And In my opinion, it's a good problem to have. You have 6 guys capable of starting games, and now Turnbull's the odd man out because Taijuan Walker's healthy. And I guess in a perfect world, you're able to give Turnbull like 3 innings or so, maybe on days that Christopher Sanchez pitches here in this Blue Jays game. But Ben, how do you see this all playing out? And do you think the Phillies are going to be able to keep him stretched out and sharp enough for if he does have to re-enter the rotation, Spencer Turnbull?
Yeah, I still think there are going to be some starts for Spencer Turnbull to have. It's a long season. We all know that 162 games is a long season. But I still think there's going to be part of him in the rotation at some point where time, maybe somebody just needs another day of rest. Maybe somebody isn't feeling great. Maybe they can skip a start. It's an embarrassment of riches if you think about it, that they have this, $2 million they paid for Spencer Turnbull for this season. What a value, what a bargain, this opportunity for him to take the ball every now and again. If Sanchez slips, if Walker slips, they have Turnbull that can fill in immediately and get the job done. So I think it's something that they definitely will pursue, but it's definitely not going to be Spencer Turnbull's last start of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, Taijuan Walker in these first 2 starts, both times allowed runs in the 7th inning. So, I mean, the lines would look different if he was pulled a little earlier. I think, people might be a little more excited if the ERA was a couple runs lower. But the reality is that both times he's pitched, he's kept the Phillies in the game. He's done what you would want out of like a number 4 or number 5 starter. And you'd figure that this is like the beginning for Taijuan Walker, that 6 weeks from now, you might see more velocity. You might see a different version of him than you see right now. But the 2 outings that he's given them, most teams would take that out of like every member of their rotation. The Phillies are just in a groove right now. And the point you made earlier, Ben, about being able to rest the bullpen, it's big. I mean, it's going to loom large. I think of a guy like Matt Strahm, who came into Monday night's game and again was electric and just throwing strike after strike after strike. That's a guy who's been kept relatively fresh. There was a span last week, I think, where he'd pitched like once in 7 days. And you just think about the benefit that's going to have on this team come October, when you'd figure that because of the starting pitching depth and stamina, that bullpen might be in better shape than most others.
Well, Corey, and I guess the question I have too, I know it's been talked about a little bit, is does that worry you? It's almost kind of like that imbalance of, would you rather have your starters keep going early in April and May, or would rather have your bullpen guys get a lot of work and kind of try to save those arms for later in the year? It's that weird thing we've been talking about it a lot lately of, okay, your starters are going out and throwing incredibly well lately to start the season. Your bullpen guys are better, but when it comes to September and October, who do you want to have those fresh arms, the bullpen or the starters?
Well, I think ideally it's everybody. I'd say that the bigger, not concern, but like the thing I'm just looking at is right now you have Wheeler, Nola, Suarez all on pace for 200 innings. And that's great. That's great in terms of like their value to the team. And for Suarez, that's big for his like free agent payday eventually. But do you want, if you're trying to win a World Series this year, do you want your 3 horses pitching 200 innings? And are they slightly less fresh on October 15th because of it? Ben, think about all those times that Wheeler would come out the last 2 postseasons and be throwing 97 in the first inning. Like, he is able to ratchet it up when he needs it. I don't know. Like, what do you think? Do you think that the Phillies should push these guys as long as they're showing that they can take down these innings? Like, would you have a problem with all 3 of those guys hitting the 200 inning mark?
I think you need to play to the scoreboard. That scoreboard will tell you everything you need to know. I think if you look at it and the starters are going deeper into ball games and this offense continues to thrive, then maybe you, instead of pushing that guy out there maybe for the 7th inning or the 8th inning, if you're up by a lot, maybe you go and get an inning for Ryan Kirkring like they did in yesterday's ball game. Let him come in and throw an inning. Maybe you just – those innings later on in the year, they will help the starters out immensely. But if it's a tighter ball game and your starter's going really well, leave them in. They have that opportunity to do that as well. But I think it's a double-edged sword in the fact that Rob Thompson has that ability to really look at that scoreboard and determine what I need to do with my starter or what I need to do with my bullpen. because they have that in their back pocket. You know what? This guy's dealing. I'm going to let him go. It's a close ball game. And then if it gets a little tighter, maybe I can bring the bullpen in. But if we have a bigger lead and this guy's already thrown 90 pitches and after 6 innings, we can get him out. We have a big lead. This bullpen hasn't been taxed. Let's use those guys, get them some innings in, and let them stay fresh. So it's really again an embarrassment of riches and something that Rob Thompson is going to be able to do.
Looking at this again, you look at the Phillies' upcoming schedule. We've talked about how early on they played some of the mediocre teams or worse. Again, moving forward, this weekend, the Marlins, who look like the worst team in the National League. They have the Nationals 2 series after that. They have the Rockies 2 series after that. So it really doesn't stiffen up and consistently stiffen up until like July and August. But, as they get some of these division games here, they have the Mets, the Marlins, the Nationals coming up. Only 6 of these first 38 games for the Phillies were against the NL East, but they've opened up the 3-game lead. The Braves lost Spencer Strider. Matt Olson is not the guy that he was last year when he, 50 and 140 with a consistently high batting average. Hasn't been quite that guy. Do you guys think that this is the year the Phillies catch the Braves? I know it's very early, but people are thinking about it.
It's just crazy to think that even we have the division lead right now. It's it's insane that the Phillies have the division lead sitting here on May 7th. It feels like they haven't had the division lead. We've been chasing them for the last few years. It's the first time since 2022 that the Phillies have had the division lead. So I think this could be the year that they do it. I know they're on pace for 112 wins. I hope that they can keep that pace. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting times. And I think even Atlanta going out to the Dodgers stadium this weekend or this past week, and kind of just getting their butts kicked by LA, even though, LA has had the 30th strength of schedule. But yeah, it's exciting times, Ben.
Yeah, I look at it, it's one thing. This team doesn't get complacent. That's one thing I will say about them. They're very professional in how they go about their business, and they don't get complacent. They don't worry about what happened yesterday. They don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. They just worry about the task at hand. Like, they're only worried about Barrios tonight and the Blue Jays. That's their only concern. I will give them credit. They wanted to get out to a hotter start. If I want to lose weight, I got to go on a diet, right? I have to go on a diet. I'm not going to lose weight if I don't go on that diet. This team said they wanted to get out to a better start, so that's what they're doing. They have a plan, and they're attacking that plan. I'm not going to lose weight if I don't go on a diet and attack that plan. So that's what I'd like to see out of this ball club. They had it on their agenda that they wanted to go out there and be better early, and boy, are they doing that. They're doing everything right, and there's a reason they're 3 games up in the NL East right now.
And, it's one thing to have that objective, but it was thrown by the wayside when in the middle of spring training, there was an illness that spread through the clubhouse that knocked down every guy in that clubhouse. So that has a big bearing, especially on pitchers who now get out of their routine, and some of them have to start back to square one. I think of a guy like Orion Kerkering, for example. It affected Mick Abel, who's down in the minor leagues, but that was difficult on the Phillies at a difficult point of their 2024 calendar, yet they've been able to kind of recover from it. They've been able to recover from slow starts from a guy like Castellanos. They've been able to recover so far from the Trey Turner injury. We'll see, how that looks moving forward. I guess the expectation is that it's probably going to be Stott at shortstop more often than not, with Whit Merrifield at second base. And I mean, I've liked the quality of Whit Merrifield's at bats here over the last 2 weeks. I think he's 10 for his last 24, a couple homers, a couple doubles, and just gives you a quality at bat each time, which you add that was the value of him. When the Phillies signed him to a 1-year, $8 million contract, Merrifield, it was because they envisioned him being able to be that productive extra man who has multi-hit capability every time you put him out there. So everything's rosy right now in Phillies land. And in terms of the hot start, the last 2 seasons, the Phillies have spent most of the year kind of looking up and having to, okay, now it's time to play well and get ourselves into the mix. Now the question is going to be, how do you maintain the energy level if you have a playoff spot locked up for 2 months there later in the summer? But again, that's a good problem to have as the Phillies move into this Blue Jay series.
Yeah, and JT yesterday or on Monday was asked, are you afraid of peaking? And he said this team was built for the long haul. And if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. Just because, like we said, we've been so used to seeing this Phillies team. It's like, okay, we'll get to June, they'll get hot, they'll be fine, we'll ride the playoffs. But now it is interesting. It's kind of a different topic of if you're the guys in the clubhouse. Do you think peaking is on your mind, Ben? Like when you were on these hot teams, like is that on your mind, or are you just riding the waves and keeping things rolling?
No, my first 2 years in Seattle, we won over 90 games. I think we won 92 games and 93 games the first couple of years. And we never really thought about that. We just went out and played baseball because we had a bunch of, veteran professionals. And again, that gets back to the way this ball club, it's one thing to have talented players on your team, but to also have the type of people that they have in that clubhouse. These guys love each other. They believe in each other. They believe in themselves. And they're very professional about what they do. They're a very prideful bunch in the fact that they don't like to be humiliated. They don't like to lose. So the sense of peaking, I don't think it's going to really affect this ball club because they're not worried about, again, what they did yesterday, what they're going to do tomorrow. They worry about the game that day. And I think that's why where that professionalism comes into play, and the fact that it just doesn't affect them. They don't worry about it. They just go and play their game and try and beat somebody's butt that particular night.
Yeah, year by year, this Phillies team, it got better and better, and now it's a juggernaut. So now, if you're a Phillies fan, you just sit back and you enjoy the ride. They're not going to play this well all year. They're not going to win 9 of every 10 games and put together all these long winning streaks, but they're going to be favored over most teams most nights, and maybe there will be some exceptions when they go out to Dodger Stadium or if they go out to Seattle or something like that. But this is a team that should clean up on most of baseball, and the brand that they're playing is pretty fun to watch. So thanks a lot for everybody who listened or checked out this Phillies Talk podcast on YouTube. For Ben Davis and Spencer McKercher and Corey Seidman, we'll be back later in the week.